My sister refused to allow my 17-year-old daughter at her wedding because she was underage. I didn't protest. I simply replied that we wouldn't be coming. But when the holiday season arrived, I made one subtle change that caused my entire family to erupt in anger. I'm Claire, the eldest of three sisters. In my childhood, that position meant I was the one everyone counted on. The assistant, the childminder, the one who managed situations when our parents were exhausted or inattentive. Initially, I didn't really object. That was simply how things were. Tessa, being the middle child, was the entertainer, the spotlight seeker. Rachel, the youngest, was the pampered one. She could do anything without consequences. I was the one tidying up after everyone. When I grew up and became a parent myself, the dynamic shifted slightly, but not significantly. I adopted my daughter Maya when she was 3. She had these profound, contemplative eyes and this reserved manner of examining the world, as if she was still uncertain about trusting it. I recall the first occasion she addressed me as Mom. I sobbed in my vehicle after leaving her at preschool. From day one, I vowed she would never experience rejection within my family. Not ever again. But despite my efforts, I couldn't fulfill that promise. Tessa became engaged last spring. Grand announcement, impressive ring, elaborate Instagram caption. Naturally, I offered congratulations. Maya even crafted a card for her, cut out small wedding bells and attached them with excessive glitter. Tessa remarked it was nice, then abandoned it in her car's back seat. I discovered it there a fortnight later, partially crumpled beneath a coffee cup. Nevertheless, Maya was thrilled about the wedding. She began browsing dresses online and wondering whether to style her hair up or down. I could sense her apprehension, yet hopefulness. She wanted to be part of it. Then the invitation arrived in our mailbox. It was one of those luxury types, thick paper, golden edging, the kind probably costing more than my monthly utilities. I unwrapped it at the kitchen counter while Maya completed homework at the table. The standard information: venue, attire requirements, response card, website. And then I noticed it. Adults only, 18 plus, strictly enforced, no exceptions. I perused it twice, thinking perhaps I'd overlooked something, but I hadn't. Maya observed my expression. Before I could speak, she glanced up from her notebook and asked, "She doesn't want me there, does she?" I explained, "It's an adults-only wedding." She remained silent momentarily, then questioned, "Is it because I'm adopted?" That question fractured something within me. She expressed it so matter-of-factly, as if it were merely a reality she'd come to terms with. I assured her, absolutely not. Yet I understood what she meant. It wasn't the first such occurrence. Not precisely this, but other incidents. More subtle ones. Slippery remarks. My mother once introduced Maya as Claire's girl, never our granddaughter. Tessa referred to her as your daughter, as if discussing a neighbor's child. There were occasions during family celebrations when Maya would volunteer to assist in the kitchen, and nobody would even acknowledge her. I attempted to believe it was unintentional, that they had no ulterior motive. But this instance, this was unmistakable. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I simply went online and selected not attending. No explanation. Just no. I presumed that would conclude it. The following day, Tessa messaged me, "Hey, just saw your RSVP. Is everything all right?" Followed by another message. "If this concerns the age restriction, I hope you understand we're being completely consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, correct?" Not personal. Except that Maya is her niece and she's 17, not 7. I didn't respond. Then Rachel contacted me. "Tessa mentioned you're not attending. Why? What's happening?" Then my mother phoned. She never calls just to chat, so I answered, already steeling myself. "Claire," she said, "I heard you're skipping the wedding." "Is this truly about the age limit?" I replied. "Maya isn't invited. I'm not going without her. She's nearly 18. My mother said. "It's not as if she's a small child. She's family." There was silence. "Don't penalize your sister over this. It's just one evening." I didn't debate. I simply stated, "We're not coming," and ended the call. That should have been the conclusion. But then came the group messages, the blame, the barely concealed remarks. "Rachel, can't believe you're creating such drama over one policy. You always have to stir up trouble. Maya's not the only one excluded. This isn't about her. You're making it about her." My mother sent an extensive message regarding family harmony and forgiveness, about how we've all compromised, about how challenging it is being caught in between. I didn't answer. Maya erased the dress photos from her phone. She ceased mentioning the wedding. She didn't weep. But I think that's what pained me most. How unsurprised she appeared. She'd already discovered what I spent too long trying to ignore. So when Christmas approached and nobody had apologized or even mentioned it, I made a quiet decision. I didn't invite them. No major declaration, no confrontation. Just silence. And that's what truly angered them. If you'd questioned me a decade ago about my vision of motherhood, I would have mentioned birthday celebrations, untidy embraces, sparkles on the rug. I wouldn't have mentioned trying to shield a child from people who profess to love you both. When Maya entered my life, she was 3 years old and heartbreakingly solemn. Large brown eyes, gentle curls, and a quiet gaze that made you feel she was committing everything you said to memory, just in case she needed to endure you. She didn't warm up swiftly. She didn't laugh on demand. She didn't run into my arms like a cinematic moment. But when she finally reached for my hand in the supermarket unprompted, I wept in the car park for 10 minutes. My husband Ethan remarked, "That was the moment she chose you, and I've been choosing her every day since." But my family never quite understood how to interact with her. Initially, I attributed it to awkwardness, adjustment. She didn't have my eyes. She didn't bear my surname yet. She didn't join conversations at festivities the way other children did. But it extended beyond that. It was how my mom referred to her as the little one instead of Maya. How Tessa once inquired, "Are you going to tell her she's adopted when she's older?" while Maya was present. How Rachel's children received Easter baskets from our parents with personalized names, while Maya got a generic one with a Happy Spring label. It wasn't blatant. It was more subtle than that, softer, easier to dismiss if you wished to. But Maya perceived it. She always perceived it. I tried to be understanding. I truly did. I explained, I redirected, I gave them the benefit of doubt. When Maya was 6, she informed my dad she aspired to be an artist. He smiled and said, "You'll need something more practical than that." When she was 8, she drew a picture of our family, me, Ethan, and her, and presented it to my mom. My mom smiled, expressed gratitude, then set it aside and never mentioned it again. Maya inquired later why it wasn't displayed on the refrigerator like her cousin's drawings. I was at a loss for words. The first instance I truly lost patience was Rachel's engagement party. Maya was 12. Rachel had invited us. Sort of. We were included in a mass text with a time, date, and location. No "can't wait to see you," no personal message. But we attended nonetheless because I thought, this is how we change it. We continue showing up. Maya wore a light blue dress and those small silver flats she'd chosen herself. She was anxious, kept asking if she looked appropriate, if she could remain near me. At the gathering, Rachel greeted us with a tight smile and a hi, then turned to embrace the next person without asking Maya anything. No compliment, no, "Wow, you look so grown up," just emptiness. We stayed for approximately 25 minutes. Maya remained by my side the entire time. On the journey home, she said, "I don't think she likes me." I said, "She doesn't know you." She said, "She's had 10 years. And I had no response for that. The thing is, I don't believe they ever fully accepted that Maya wasn't temporary. It's as if a part of them thought I'd eventually have a biological child, and this would become a sweet chapter. Something they could refer to as when Claire fostered that little girl. They never articulated it. They didn't need to. Last year, for Maya's 16th birthday, we rented space at the community center and decorated it with her artwork, her idea. She didn't desire some elaborate party with loud music. She wanted to exhibit her paintings, serve cupcakes, and invite those who had supported her. She created the invitations herself, mailed them to family, friends, and several teachers. Rachel didn't attend. Neither did Tessa. My parents arrived 30 minutes late and brought a card that said, "To a sweet girl," with a $20 bill inside. Maya thanked them. She's invariably polite. Afterward, she didn't comment much, just helped tidy up, returned her canvases to the car. But later that night, when we were home and the dishes were cleaned, I found one of her sketches. It depicted the 3 of us, me, Ethan, and her at the party. But our faces were blank. I believe that's when I ceased hoping they'd change. Not because of the card or the tardiness or the lack of effort, but because it no longer hurt Maya in the same way. She'd stopped being surprised, and that frightened me more than anything. So when the wedding invitation never arrived, not even a phone call or a conversation, just a silent exclusion, I knew what action to take. I didn't argue. I didn't plead or request an exception. I simply informed Maya we weren't attending. She didn't cry. She just nodded and said, "Okay." Later that evening, she asked, "Do you think they even noticed we weren't there?" I affirmed because I needed her to believe she mattered, even if they didn't. We spent the weekend of the wedding at home. Ethan prepared French toast. Maya painted in the sunroom. I read a book from cover to cover. It wasn't vengeance. It wasn't a protest. It was tranquility. And honestly, it felt strange initially, quiet in a manner that made you realize how much noise you'd been living with for years. I didn't miss the ceremony. I didn't wonder about the floral arrangements or whether the cake was delicious. I thought about Maya. I thought about how she used to seek their approval in every comment, every holiday, every family dinner, and how gradually they taught her not to expect it. And I thought about the next holiday, how for years I'd hosted Christmas out of obligation, inviting them, feeding them, pretending their half-hearted smiles were sufficient. This time I wouldn't. This time I'd do something different. Ethan asked me in early December, "Should I order the usual folding chairs?" I shook my head. No extra seats this year. He didn't press. Maya didn't inquire. And when the group chat began buzzing with, "Who's bringing dessert to Claire's this year?" and "Should we come the night before like always?" I said nothing. I just observed the messages accumulate unread. I didn't announce that I wasn't hosting Christmas. I didn't deliver a speech or post a bold status or tell everyone to go find somewhere else to eat their ham in passive aggression. I just didn't say anything. And that silence, apparently, was the loudest thing I'd ever done. The group chat started buzzing around December 15th. Rachel: "Claire, are we still doing Christmas Eve dinner at your place? Let me know what I should bring." Tessa: "Of course, I'll be late again. Let me know if Maya wants anything specific this year. If she's even going to be there this time." That one nearly provoked me. If she's even going to be there this time. As if Maya was the issue. As if her absence from their wedding was a personal failure of hers, not the result of being uninvited. I didn't reply. For the first time in years, I didn't clean the house thoroughly. I didn't pre-order a roast. I didn't extract the extra folding chairs. I didn't drag the big table extension out of the garage. And when no one received an answer, they started calling. First my mom. I ignored it. Then Rachel, then Tessa, then my dad. Left a message. "Claire, we just want to know what's happening. Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing." The right thing? As if hosting people who excluded my daughter was the right thing. As if feeding them would mend what they refused to acknowledge. We didn't host anyone that year. Instead, Ethan and I made lasagna in pajamas while Maya baked sugar cookies in shapes that barely maintained their form. We stayed home, watched films, opened our gifts early. We laughed more than we had in months, felt normal in a way our holidays never had before. No one walked carefully. No one had to interpret pointed comments. No one became silent when Maya entered the room. It was just us. And that's when the messages began to change. December 26th, Tessa in the group chat: "I just think it's sad. We've all tried to welcome Maya, but Claire has made it impossible to connect with her." Rachel: "I mean, if you sever ties with family every time there's a disagreement, you'll end up alone." Dad: "The way you're handling this is cruel." "I'm sorry, but it is." My mom sent me a photo of the Christmas tree at their house with the caption, "It wasn't the same without you. Maya would have loved her gifts." I didn't reply because they weren't gifts for Maya. They were guilt-wrapped invitations to return and pretend everything was fine. And I'd done that for too long. A few days later, we received a card in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting inside. My mother had written, "I wish you'd consider the example you're setting. Maya will observe how easily you shut people out." That line resonated with me because I realized that's exactly what I want her to see. Not that love is disposable, but that love, authentic love, doesn't require you to diminish yourself. It doesn't ask you to sit quietly while those around you pretend your pain is too uncomfortable to acknowledge. Maya didn't inquire about the messages, but I know she noticed the tension. She's never been one to ask directly. She just watches, absorbs, as if she's still trying to determine which parts of the world are safe. One evening, she was curled up on the couch with a blanket over her legs, sketching something. She paused, then said, "If I wasn't adopted, do you think they'd like me more?" The question impacted me more than any of the texts. I sat beside her. "Sweetheart," I said, "they'd probably pretend better, but the way they treat people who aren't like them, that was never about you." She looked at me with those same serious eyes from the day I met her and said, "I don't think I want them to like me anymore." And that was the moment I stopped waiting for an apology. A few days later, my father called again. I let it ring. Then he texted, "Your mother's not sleeping. She feels like she's lost you. We know we erred, but that doesn't justify excluding everyone. That's not who you are." I stared at that line for an extended period. That's not who you are. I used to ponder that. Used to question whether I was being too detached, too sensitive, too severe. But no, this is who I am. Someone who finally understands what she will and won't tolerate. Someone who knows that maintaining peace at the expense of your child's dignity isn't noble. It's cowardice disguised as tradition. The final provocation came from Tessa. She sent a voice memo. One of those rambling ones where people attempt to sound composed, but every sentence contains a concealed knife. "I just think it's sad, Claire. You always emphasized how much you love Maya, but now it seems like you're using her as a shield. Like anytime someone doesn't treat her like royalty, you exclude them. That's not healthy. That's not parenting. That's obsession." I didn't listen to the remainder. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Because if loving Maya intensely, completely, is viewed as obsession in their world, then yes, I'm obsessed. I'm wildly, unapologetically obsessed with protecting the person who needed me the most. And nothing they say will make me regret that. New Year's came and went quietly. Maya fell asleep before midnight with a half-consumed cookie on the couch. Ethan and I toasted with tea instead of champagne and watched fireworks without sound. He looked at me and said, "Do you miss them?" I considered it. "No," I said. "I miss the concept of them. But that version never truly existed." He nodded, didn't add anything more, just reached for my hand. I don't know what will occur next. I'm certain they'll continue trying. People like that don't depart silently. There will be more texts, more posts. Perhaps one of them will appear at Maya's graduation next year behaving as if nothing happened. But I've made my decision. There's no major confrontation imminent, no dramatic showdown, just quiet distance. And sometimes that's the most powerful choice of all. It happened on a Thursday, cold, overcast, quiet. I had just returned from work, still wearing my coat, when the doorbell chimed. I wasn't expecting visitors. Ethan was working late. Maya was upstairs preparing a portfolio project for her college applications. I opened the door and there they stood. My parents, on my porch as if it was still 2007, and we were pretending nothing ever went awry. My mom had a plastic container in her hands. I believe they were oatmeal cookies, her specialty. Soft in the center, slightly overcooked around the edges, the kind she used to bake when I was young. "Claire," she said with a breathy little smile, "we thought we'd visit." I didn't respond immediately, just stared at the container in her hands as if it might be rigged. My dad shifted beside her. "Can we enter? Just for a moment?" "No," I said. There was a pause. Surprise perhaps, but not long enough to matter. My mom attempted to recover with another warm tone. "We just wanted to talk. Things became heated, but we're still your family." She offered the cookies like a peace offering. I didn't accept them. That's when the smile began to waver. "You don't have to behave like this," she said, her voice tightening. "We know it's been difficult, raising a teenager, pushing everyone else away," my dad added. "We tried to be patient, we gave you space. But this? You're going to lose your real family over a girl who's going to depart in a few months?" My stomach tightened. "She's 17, my mom said softly. "She'll go to college soon. And then what? You'll be alone. You'll regret this." I could hear the subtext. This wasn't about reconciling. This was about control. And then my mother said it. The thing I believe she'd always believed fundamentally. "I'm sorry, Claire, but she's not blood. She's not really one of us." She said it gently, as if doing me a favor, as if she expected me to nod and say, "You're right." I lost perspective. Instead, I inhaled deeply, stepped back, and said, "You need to leave immediately." My dad appeared taken aback. "Claire?" "No," I said more loudly. "You don't get to arrive here with cookies and pity and act like this is kindness. You don't get to insult my daughter to my face and then wonder why I'm not inviting you in. You're going to regret this," my mom repeated, her voice breaking now. "When she leaves you, when she forgets about you, you'll understand. Our door will remain open. You'll return. You'll realize we were correct." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I closed the door, secured it, and leaned against it until I couldn't hear their footsteps anymore. I informed Maya the next day. I wasn't going to. I didn't want her to bear their toxicity, but I've never deceived her. Not about anything significant. She sat very still while I told her what they said about her leaving, about not being blood, about me returning one day. She didn't cry, but I could see it in her hands, how tightly she clasped them in her lap, how her shoulders stiffened. They truly believe I'll abandon you? She said. No, I said. They hope you will. That way I'll need them again. She nodded slowly. They don't get to hope things about me, she said. I thought that would conclude it. I should have known better, because a week later my cousin Sarah forwarded me an email that Rachel had sent to the extended family. It was lengthy, rambling, passive-aggressive in the way only Rachel could achieve. But the message was clear. She told them I had deserted the family for a girl who manipulated her way into Claire's life and isolated her from everyone else. She implied Maya had been difficult, distant, and ungrateful, that my relationship with her was unhealthy, that I was obsessed with protecting her from imaginary slights. It was repulsive. And worse, it was effective. People began reaching out. Aunt Linda texted me asking if I was all right. Uncle John called Ethan, asking if I was experiencing a breakdown. My second cousin Chloe left a comment on one of Maya's art posts. You're very fortunate, don't forget who provided you a home. Maya saw it. I witnessed her seeing it. And that was the final straw. I didn't compose a response. I compiled a dossier, screenshots, messages, photographs, every ignored invitation, every exclusion, every receipt. I wrote a letter. Not emotional, not angry, just facts. I sent it to the extended family only once, with the subject line, for those who wanted the complete story. I didn't request sides. I didn't demand apologies. I simply provided them with the truth. Some replied, some didn't. A few quietly unfriended Rachel. A few didn't believe a word I stated. It was inconsequential because I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for Maya, so she'd never question whether she imagined it, so she'd never ask again. Do you think they'd like me if I was blood? After that, I blocked everyone who attempted to argue, everyone who said, but maybe if you'd just discussed it. Everyone who thought maintaining peace was more important than protecting a child from emotional abuse disguised as family tradition. We never heard from them again, not directly. I'm certain they still discuss us. I'm certain I'm the anecdote they relate at parties when someone mentions estranged children. I'm certain Maya's name is still spoken in tight, judgmental tones. Let them talk. They forfeited their right to know her. Fast forward. Maya's in college now. Art program. Top of her class. She still calls me every night. Not out of obligation, just habit. She sends images of her sketches. Sometimes she requests my opinion. Sometimes she just wants to say goodnight. When I left her at her dormitory, she embraced me for a full minute and whispered, I'm not going anywhere. She meant physically, perhaps, but I knew what she truly meant. People say you can't choose your family. I did. I chose her. Over blood, over guilt, over years of learned silence. And if they still believe I'll return one day, let them wait. Sometimes I still reflect on that moment on the porch. My mother offering those cookies as if they could undo years of silence. As if sugar could repair what they never had the courage to express aloud. And occasionally, late at night, I wonder if I overreacted, if I should have tried harder, remained quieter, been more forgiving. But then I remember Maya's expression when I told her, they don't get to treat you like that. I remember how firmly she hugged me when she departed for college. I remember that I promised her something no one ever promised me growing up, that I'd choose her every time. Do you think I did the right thing? Share your thoughts below. And if you want more stories like this, remember to subscribe.